Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going into a really fascinating part of business finance. It's often pretty dense, but it's absolutely vital. We're talking about cost accounting.
Right. And we're not just, reading from a textbook here. We're actually following a real case, Lily's company, as she tries to solve what is, for her, a huge operational mystery.
A mystery about where the money is actually going.
Exactly. It's the deep structure of the P&L statement. It's the place where decisions about pricing, about your product mix, about efficiency, that's where they're all forged. And the core problem is basically universal.
Taking that big bucket of factory expenses, the overhead.
Yeah, the huge non-specific bucket, and trying to figure out what actually caused those costs in the first place.
Right. So our mission today is to see how Lily transforms that overhead from, a black box, just this big mysterious lump of money, into something that gives clear, actionable intelligence.
And she does that using something called activity-based costing, or ABC.
Because the old way just wasn't working.
Not at all. I mean, the simple truth is that traditional costing methods have this massive blind spot. They just rely on simple, volume-like gallons produced or hours worked to absorb all the overhead.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it.
It doesn't, because making 1,000,000 gallons of simple vanilla ice cream doesn't consume anywhere near the same resources as, say, 100,000 gallons of some complex niche flavor that requires constant changeovers and special ingredients.
Okay, so the sources show that under her old system, Lily was assigning a uniform rate. It was about $1.16 per gallon for everything.
Everything, from basic vanilla to the most exotic special flavor. And that right there, that's the problem.
So what's the immediate consequence of that huge costing blind spot?
Well, the consequence is just, it's a mess. You get distortion and you get really bad decision making. That uniform rate is maybe the biggest lie in cost accounting.
A lie. How so?
It leads to this classic cross-subsidy trap. Your simple, high-volume products, the backbone of your operation, they are forced to carry the cost burden of all the complex, low-volume, gourmet items.
So the simple stuff looks way more expensive than it really is.
Artificially expensive, yeah. And the complex stuff looks deceptively profitable.
Which means Lily could be overpricing her biggest seller, maybe losing market share. Or even worse.
Even worse, she could be selling her most complex, resource-intensive flavors at a price that guarantees she's losing money on every single gallon sold.
Ouch.
Precisely. So ABC, what it does is it links that overhead to the actual consumption of activities, and that gives Lily 3 immediate benefits.
Okay.
You get accurate product costing, which means correct pricing. You get informed decisions on your product mix, and this is critical. It identifies waste by showing you where your resources are actually being consumed.
So we know that the $1.16 rate is just wrong because it ignores all that complexity. If we need to start treating overhead as one big pile of cash, where does Lily even begin?
She starts by identifying the cost drivers. This is the key insight of ABC.
A cost driver.
Yeah, a cost driver is just the specific activity or measure that causes a cost to be incurred. It's what drives the consumption of your resources. So instead of just looking at volume, Lily realized her costs were driven by specific events.
Okay, like what?
Like operating the machines, sure, but also changing over the batches and just supporting the sheer number of ingredients she was using.
That makes so much more sense. It completely changes the question from how much did we make to, well, how did we make it? And what kind of complexity did that introduce?
Exactly. And the sources show that she broke her total allocable overhead down into 3 different pools, reflecting those different activity levels.
Okay, let's walk through that. Let's compute those specific rates.
We can start with the activity that's closest to traditional costing. The unit level activities, these are the costs that are directly tied to the production process itself. They vary with volume.
So this is like the cost of running the machines for an hour, the electricity, the stuff that scales directly with how much you make.
You got it. Lily found she had about $750,000 in this unit level pool. And when she divides that by the total annual output, which was 1.5 million gallons, she gets her first rate.
Which is
50 cents per gallon.
50 cents. Okay. So that's the basic cost of just putting liquid in a container. It's a starting point, but I mean, look how low that is compared to the old $1.16 rate.
It's a huge difference already. And now we move into the costs that the traditional systems pretty much just ignore, even though they can be massive. Let's talk about batch level costs.
Okay.
Batch level activities, they're independent of volume. They happen every single time you start or stop a run of a particular product.
Right, so the setup, the changeovers, cleaning the equipment so your mint chocolate chip doesn't taste like peanut butter delight.
Exactly that. And Lily had $440,000 tied up in this batch level cost pool.
And what was her cost driver for this pool? What was the activity?
The total number of batches she ran across the whole factory, which was 500 batches.
Okay, so you divide $440,000 by 500 batches, and the rate you get is...
It's a very substantial $880 per batch.
Wait, hang on. Let's just pause right there. $880. Nearly $1,000
Mm-hmm.
just to switch the machinery over.
Yep.
That number is staggering. That's an immediate, like, flashing red light. What is even in that 880? Is that just somebody's time?
It's so much more than just labor. It's the entire overhead that gets consumed by that changeover. It's the specialized inspection you need. It's the energy and water for the cleaning. It's the product you waste during the flush-out period.
And the machine isn't even running.
And, crucially, the opportunity cost of that machine just sitting idle for hours. That $880 isn't just an allocation. It's a measure of inefficiency that's built into running small batches.
Wow. So just to be clear, if Lily can reduce her total batches from 500 down to, say, 400,
Mm-hmm.
she instantly saves $88,000 in overhead consumption,
Instantly.
even if her total volume of gallons stays exactly the same.
The volume doesn't change a bit. That's where the power lies.
Incredible.
And that brings us to the third pool, the most complex element.
Oh.
The product level costs. These are costs that are incurred just to support the existence of a flavor, period. It doesn't matter how many gallons or batches you run.
So this sounds like the fixed cost of just being complicated. Things like, I don't know, special packaging design or recipe testing or the quality control for some imported ingredient that only goes into one flavor.
That's it, exactly. Lily had $270,000 in this product level pool, and she decided her cost driver here was just the sheer variety she had to manage. She chose the total number of ingredients across all her products, which was 100.
So 270,000 divided by 100 ingredients.
The calculation gives you a rate of $2,700 per ingredient.
$2,700 per ingredient. That rate just explicitly captures the administrative burden of having too many recipes.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So Lily's new overhead formula is a world away from that single $1.16 number. Now it's gallons times 50 cents.
Plus batches times $880.
Plus ingredients times $2,700.
There you go. It connects consumption directly to cost. Now we can actually apply this formula and see the monumental shift in profitability that Lily discovered.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start with the product that was almost certainly getting punished under the old system. Vanilla, the high-volume staple.
Right. Lily produced 500,000 gallons of vanilla, but because it's so simple, it only required 25 batches and used just 5 ingredients.
Okay, so let's plug those numbers in.
The unit level cost, based on volume, is $250,000. But now look at the complexity costs. The 25 batches, they add only $22,000. And the 5 ingredients add a mere $13,500.
So summing that all up, the total overhead for all of vanilla is $285,500.
Right.
And when you divide that total by the 500,000 gallons she produced,
Yeah.
the true overhead cost for a gallon of vanilla is what?
It's revealed to be about 57 cents per gallon.
57 cents.
57.1 cents, yeah. Now for the crucial comparison. This is the moment of truth for Lily.
Okay.
Under the old system, vanilla was assigned $1.16 per gallon. Its actual ABC cost is 57 cents.
Wow. Vanilla was overcosted by more than double.
By more than 100%.
Oh.
Lily's most reliable, simple product was unfairly subsidizing the entire rest of the company.
Which means if she was pricing her vanilla, assuming a $1.16 cost, she was either losing sales to competitors who were cheaper or she was leaving a ton of profit on the table.
Exactly. And now for the flip side, the counter example, the one that, makes the cost accountants gasp, the high complexity, low volume item.
Let's hear it.
Let's look at the gingerbread cheesecake supreme flavor. This one only produced 200,000 gallons. That's less than half of vanilla's volume.
But the operational demand is the real story here, I'm guessing.
It is. That 200,000 gallons required 235 batches, almost 10 times as many as vanilla. and it needed 25 different specialty ingredients. The burden is just staggering when you look at the drivers.
Okay, so we've got low volume, but maximum complexity. How did the numbers break down?
Well, the unit level cost is still just 100,000, proportional to the volume, but the batch level costs, they're $206,800. And the product level cost adds another 67,500. So the total overhead assigned just jumps to $374,300.
So even though it's less than half the volume of vanilla, its total overhead is way higher.
Far higher than anyone expected. Now, when we spread that 374,000 across the 200,000 gallons,
The cost goes from that old uniform $1.16 all the way up
to approximately $1.87 per gallon.
$1.87. That's 60% higher than the old rate.
That's right. The old system made it look cheap, profitable even. The ABC system revealed that gingerbread cheesecake supreme was dangerously undercosted. It was likely being sold at a massive loss when you consider the company's true operational economics.
This is where the numbers stop being just accounting figures. They start becoming direct management signals. So what does this all mean for Lily and her team going forward? I mean, the real value here is turning this into strategic action, right?
It all comes back to managing those drivers we identified. Let's go back to that $880 per batch rate.
Okay.
That is a clear signal that your changeovers are a major source of cost. So the primary managerial action is pretty simple. Make your batches bigger and reduce how often you do changeovers.
But what if she can't? What if, the market demands fresh small batches? Or she just has capacity constraints? Are there other levers she can pull on that 880 cost?
That's a great question. That forces you to think critically. If you can't reduce the frequency, then Lily has to look at reducing the cost of the activity itself.
How would she do that?
Well, can the engineering team simplify the cleaning process? Can they automate the inspection steps? Maybe they can switch to equipment that's just easier to flush out. That 880 gives them a budget target. Any improvement that reduces the overhead consumed by a batch, well, it reduces that cost.
And the cost of complexity is just as loud. I mean, that $2,700 per ingredient rate is basically screaming at Lily about having too many products.
It really is. It highlights that every single unique ingredient requires support, cost sourcing, inventory control, quality checks. The action here is really twofold.
Okay.
First, simplify the recipes where you can. But second, and maybe this is more important, use that true cost, that $1.87 for the gingerbread flavor, to price those complex flavors aggressively. If customers truly value that level of complexity, they have to be willing to pay for the operational burden it creates.
Before we wrap this up, we have to touch on a really critical nuance. How will Lily handle the costs that couldn't be allocated? The sources mention a fourth cost pool.
Right.
$280,000 for facility maintenance and infrastructure. And she did not allocate that to the flavors. Why was that such a smart decision?
This is really the hallmark of a good ABC implementation. It shows great strategic clarity on Lily's part. These facility costs, things like insurance, building depreciation, general management, these are costs you incur just to exist. No single flavor actually causes them.
So if Lily decided to stop making vanilla, the factory would still need lights and insurance and maintenance.
Exactly. So if you evaluated a manager on the profitability of vanilla, it would be totally unfair to penalize them for costs they have zero control over.
That makes perfect sense.
By separating out the facility costs, Lily is ensuring a fair performance evaluation. Managers are only held accountable for the costs they can control: the batches, the ingredients, the efficient use of machine time.
And just to be clear, the money isn't lost. It's all still accounted for.
Oh, totally. You had the $1,460,000 that was allocated, plus this $280,000 in facility costs. That gets you to the full $1,740,000. But the costs are just treated more strategically.
This has been a complete breakdown. I mean, we've seen the failure of the traditional system, the mechanics of building this targeted formula, the shocking reveal that vanilla was subsidizing everything, and now the direct managerial levers Lily has to pull. The key takeaway for you, the listener, is just so clear.
ABC gives you visibility into your true cost drivers,
Which lets you make smarter, profit-maximizing decisions on your product strategy and your pricing.
And I think the final thought here is that the power of ABC isn't just in calculating a better number. Its true strength is that it reveals the underlying economics of your operations. It turns this opaque cost allocation into a real strategic management tool.
It forces managers to stop focusing only on volume.
Right. And it forces them to confront and actually manage the cost drivers, those specific activities that are truly consuming your organization's resources.
So think about the cost drivers in your own business. What activities are you doing that, at maybe $880 a pop, are silently dragging down your margins? That's the question worth mulling over as you look at your own operations.